Okay, we got one person. That's good enough. Okay, so this is a continuation of the video I did a while ago. Um, I'll just go ahead and start talking, and you can catch it on the rewind. But the barren daughter and the virgin mother is a juxtaposition that we find often. We find often in the Bible. One thing about the Bible is that once you start, like, if you start studying like Kabbalah, like intently, then when you go back and look at like things in the Bible, they jump out and you'll see that they were conveying something more than just, you know, what it appears to be at the surface. So, especially this concept of the barren woman or daughter, whatever one you want to call it, and like the virgin. Where do I want to go with this? The story of John and Jesus in the Bible. Let's take that. This is what really piqued my interest. Is like, you know, in the story, you got Elizabeth, which is John's mother, and you have Mary, which is Jesus' mother. And you know, John is the forerunner of Jesus, you know, going by the story. Okay. What's happening now? Wise feminine, peace. How you doing, sister? John is considered the forerunner to Jesus, right? Okay. So right there, we've got established there's a relationship between these two, and they should not be looked at as just this character's over here and this. There's a relationship, and that's why in the story it's conveyed that Elizabeth, which is John's mother, is barren, but she, through some form of miracle, she's able to conceive, right? But while she's pregnant, she has an interaction with Mary. And John, I guess the baby was not very active, but when Elizabeth speaks with Mary at a certain instance, the baby kicks in excitement, or is moving around. Okay, not to get caught all up in the story, let's just pay attention to the relationship between the two. Because one way to approach like studying Kabbalah is you're looking at the relationships. It's not just about this is Kether, this is Hokmah, this is Banah, this is Hesed, this is Gabora. It's about the relationships between these states. So you look at the states to get an idea of what the energy is that is encased in each of these particular states. And you're studying the relationship, keyword, relationship between them. Okay? And in studying the relationship between these, what appear to be polarities, you are able to figure out how to move or act necessarily to balance out the relationship. That's the key. That's why you have a middle pillar. The middle pillar is supposed to be the represent the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is for those supposed polarities to be balanced. That's why we would juxtapose a barren woman and a virgin woman. That's why in the Bible they would juxtapose these two characters. One woman, Elizabeth, who is barren at one point, and Mary, who, is the immaculate, virgin, the pure virgin. What it's trying to tell you is that these two share a relationship that is necessary to bring about a final reality. So I did a probe into the word barren one time. Okay, I can't get to my notes right now, but I want to just give an overview of what it kind of led me to. First of all, like I mentioned in the first video, barren, as in being Barren, barren, means desolate. It's death. It's a void. It's emptiness. But it is the same word that becomes bear, Bear, as in to bear a child. That right there, this is why it's always good to study language, because language is or etymology is a great way to remove the contrast between ideas, or to resolve, that's a better way to put it, to resolve the contrast, polarities. Okay? And again, we're talking about relationship on an abstract level and on the most mundane level you can think of. Relationship, because if you think about what's the biggest problem in relationships, it's a lot of times it's differences. I say potato, you say potato. I want to go up, you want to go down. I want to go left, you want to go right. It's these differences. And so a lot of times a relationship is an undeclared state of war. I've been saying it for a long time. It's an undeclared state of war. People get into relationships sometimes and we have hidden agendas, and a lot of times it is that one side or person wants to change the other person into what they are. And sometimes it's not a real appreciation of what the other person really has to offer. That is the same as the juxtaposition of the barren daughter and the virgin mother. Let me tell you why. First of all, let's deal with the word relationship. The word relationship means toll. That's what it reduces down to, TOLL. And if you live in a city that's got a toll booth or got a tollway like we got down here in Texas, we used to, when I first moved here, when you be on a toll road, you would have these little places you stop, and they have a person actually working there, and you got to stop and get them some coins, and they lift up the gate or whatever, and you can keep on driving. Well, now everything is automated. So you get on the toll road, and cameras are everywhere taking a picture of you, and then automatically deducts from your account, from your toll tag account. Either way, though, we're talking about a form of payment. Also talking about carrying something, transferring something, because when you're paying, you're transferring energy from one state to another. That's what a payment is. So a relationship, in essence, is a toll. It takes a toll on you. You have to pay tolls, and that's what it is. Basically, it's a compromise. Everybody got to give up something. Okay? The same thing applies when you look at these spears on the Kabbalah. Okay? Because if you look on one side of the tree, you're going to see something that appears to be an objection to what's opposite of it on the other side of the tree. Prime example, again, going back to Gevurah and Gedula, or Gevurah and Hesed. Gevurah is 5, Hesed is 4. Hesed is also called Gedula, okay? In 2014, my father transitioned in the end of September 2014. I'm trying to figure out if my wife, if we knew, I'm trying to remember if we knew she was pregnant. I think it was, we found out my wife was pregnant and that next month in October, I think it was. Well, at the end of October, Scorpio season, she had a miscarriage. So I would liken that to the barren woman. Okay, this was before we had any children together. Put it that way, together, because I got 2 from my first marriage. So she had this miscarriage. I'm likening that to the barren woman. Okay, that November, we had a whole lot of rain down here in Texas. Whole bunch of rain. And we walked outside one evening, and on the this was probably like this is like November by then, I think, 2014. And there was a frog sitting on the door mat outside the front door. Now, I at least knew enough back then symbolically to know that the frog represented fertility. So it's like, that's interesting. Okay. Now I want to sidestep for a moment. I'm a sidestep because I want to go back to, and I'm going to kind of contradict myself from the first video, because I said what's most important about the numbers in Kabbalah is knowing relationships, and as far as one versus the rest of the, but now we're going to sidestep and look at the actual numbers. The 5th position on the tree of life is held by Gevurah. Gevurah, like I said earlier, coincides with Barren, which means to give birth. Okay? But on the tree, it represents severity, strength, which, and it has a in essence, it has a malefic nature to it, that energy. So I would liken that more to like the barren woman. Okay? On the other side of the tree again is Gedula, which is 4. What's interesting about what I'm telling you is that after my father died and my mother and my wife had the miscarriage, we still had cable back then. And every day when we would walk into the living room, the cable box would be on some station that added up to number 5. It would either be like 230, or it would be like channel 5 or channel 41. I mean, I'm not lying. No bullshit. So I'm, then, I didn't know as much as I maybe know now. So, but I knew, I was like, man, it's interesting. I knew enough to like, man, that 5 keeps on showing up. 5, 5, 5. So that next year, 2015, in May of that year, my wife found out she's pregnant. Now, May is what? It's the fifth month of the year, according to, conventional way that we count our months. Um, in essence, May it should be considered let's see, March, April. It should be considered the third month of the year, but the way that we do things traditionally, we count May as the fifth month. So I found it interesting that on the fifth month she becomes pregnant. What I'm trying to say is that was a perfect example of showing the relationship between Gabora and Gedula on the tree of life. The same thing that represented a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. You got to think that's a lot of pain at that time. My father transcends, find out we're pregnant, baby transcends before even getting here. So that's a lot of that's a deep, those are deep wounds, okay? And it's funny, it comes around in Scorpio season that all this stuff, at least the baby, it's that part of it. But that same tragic moment also was reconciled with its opposite. That on the fifth month of the following year that my wife got pregnant. What it shows is that, opposite of the severity on the tree is mercy. And what I'm trying to say is that what I've gotten from studying this stuff is that it's not just abstract, just like, it can be very, very tangible. Studying the Cabal can explain to you, it's like a GPS system. It can explain where you are at exactly. Wise feminine, exactly. And she said, isn't May considered spring? Exactly. And May in more distant times was celebrated with the raising of the May pole, which is the erect phallus, which is, the phallus of Osiris being reconstituted, put back together and standing up erect, which means overcoming the death of the cold months, the bitter cold months, representing vegetation piercing through the soil and standing up again, and life, representing life. So some of y'all, the world in general, possibly, peace, Prince Nakeem, the world in general could very possibly be dealing with a lot of this is the barren time of the year, period. Especially if you're in the northern hemisphere. This is the barren time of the year. It's just like things are, you look around, vegetation's dying, leaves falling off the tree, temperature dropping, record cold front sweeping the nation. It's a very barren time of the year. I want to summarize this by just a word of maybe some encouragement, that it is at this time of the year, for those of you all who got a green thumb, which I ain't, but what I've learned from people with a green thumb is this is a great time to put compost down into the ground. Old vegetables and eggshells and coffee grounds and grounds or whatever you call it. Put this down into the ground and create a compost. Because beneath the earth, while all this shit is going on, things are getting cold and frigid and joints aching and whatever. There's a network of things going on, composition, right, under the ground that are looking forward. They are looking forward. They're looking forward by planning. They're looking forward by cultivating. Maybe right now, in the midst of whatever shit you got going on in your life, maybe this is the best time to plant seeds. Just maybe. Maybe this is the best time to still have confidence in yourself, or if you don't have it, to really challenge yourself to find what in you is special. Because there's not a soul on the earth that does not have some special quality. It's not. So in the midst of all this downturn and frigid and slowed down and, frozen environment, this is the time to plant seeds. This is the time to plant seeds. And to cultivate them slowly. Cultivate them. Because that same barren woman, Isaac's mama was barren. Joseph's mama was barren. Samuel's mama was barren. Samson's mama was barren. These are all great figures in the Bible mythology. Great figures. All of them came from a woman who had previously been barren. Even Mary, who is the virgin mother of purity, her mother was barren before she became pregnant with Mary. You find that story in the Lost Books of Eden, or the Lost Books of the Bible and Forgotten Books of Eden. I think that's the title. Okay? So, that's just something to put on your mind, because a lot of people going through a lot of stuff, Don't abandon ship. Don't abandon ship. Stay the course. In that little document that I produced that some people have taken advantage of, I got a section called Vessel Preparation. Thank you, Wise Feminine. Thank you. I hope it's helpful, for everybody who chooses to partake. Thank you. In that document, I got a section called Vessel Preparation. Well, part of preparing a vessel is that first it's got to be made soundly. It's got to be constructed soundly, okay? That would be Osiris's chest. Hesed. See, that's a whole nother, we'll come back and do another dive on that. Hesed, Osiris chest. You've already been soundly created. You've been created with the ability to do marvelous things. But the other part of preparing the vessel is to empty it. It says that in the beginning was the Word, right? Well, in the Hindu languages, or one of the words for word is vak. Well, that's interesting because vac coincides with vacuum. Vacuum coincides with vacant, which means to be made empty. So it says that the Great Spirit hovered over the void beneath before it spoke. So that meant something had to be emptied out before something could be spoken into it. This barren woman had to become barren so that she could become the pure virgin that would give birth to the immaculate conception. And this is talking about man or woman. Man or woman has to empty out. You got to take a dump. You know what I'm saying? Many people tomorrow, gonna really get in on the food. And you get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm full, I gotta go take a dump. Then you come back, recover, then you're gonna eat some more, right? That's the same thing. The vessel's got to be emptied out before it can receive. I know what I'm talking about, because if you live long enough and go through certain things of shit in your life, then as you look back, you can see that I was having to be emptied out so I could receive, Kabbalah, receive, right? So don't lose hope. Don't lose faith, especially in yourself. Don't lose it. The whole world can lose faith in you, but it is vitally important that you don't lose faith in you. All right? All right, that's going to wrap it up. Appreciate y'all tuning in for round 2. As always, stay down till you get up. When you get up, stay down. Peace.